lessons. This is just a quick overview of using forms for shaping clay. And a few things to keep in mind as you're planning your project that you need to think of ahead of time. First of all, you need to create a barrier between the form and your clay. So if I'm using this canister and I'm going to wrap clay around it, I don't want the clay to stick to this, or I won't be able to easily remove it once I'm finished working with the clay, and I'll probably damage my project. So I'm going to put a sleeve around here. A strip of newsprint is one of the easiest things. I'm going to wrap it around, secure it with a little bit of tape, and then I also want to cover the bottom. Slide that down just a little bit if I was going to be putting a base on here. And I can just fold this in, kind of like you're wrapping a present. And another piece of tape. And that's all I really need. I want to be careful not to ever tape the sleeve to the form. The form needs to move freely so that after I wrap clay around here, I can slide this out and my clay will stay attached to the newsprint and I can take that out later. So sometimes though, we get into more complicated shapes. So for something like this little planter, the square, but it is tapered, which adds a few problems. So I'm going to wrap this around just like I did with the other one. Kind of keep it right around the top there. You always want to have the newsprint, the sleeve, go up a little bit higher than where you want the clay to go. So for this one, I wouldn't be able to put the clay up beyond the newspaper. And if I wanted my pot to be as high as the newspaper, I would have put a higher sleeve on. So it's always easiest to leave a little bit of extra clay, space here that the clay is not going to attach to. So with this one, and if you're a sewer, you'll be familiar with using darts and things. I'm really just going to kind of fold it along the edges, create it a little bit more tight fitting, and you can add some tape as you go. If you want to get really fancy, you can do some more cuts, actually cut it and dart it like you would a sliding off there. Maybe I will put a piece of tape on here. I'm just going to have to remember that I have to remove that tape before I can pull this out. Put another one on here. And moving around. And then again, folding it in on the bottom. Trying to make as few wrinkles as possible, but you can always smooth those out later. And they don't really transfer that much to the clay. So now I can wrap clay around here. We're going to come back to this one a little bit later on, because if I was trying to do that, what I just did with the paper, if I try to do that with the clay, it's just going to be really difficult. So I'm going to come back to this one in a little while with a pattern on how to make it easier. Something like this, you could also do paper like I just did and wrap it around. It's a little more complicated, but another option is to use plastic, or I've got some saran wrap here. I'm going to use and press that around and then fold it all to the inside. So when you're using something to help shape your clay, you always need to think about how you're going to be taking it off later. And again, you can add a little bit of tape in here because there's not going to be clay in here. I'll be able to remove the tape and the plastic later on. This is not real sticky saran wrap. and one more. So as long as I will be able to wrap the clay around here, remove that tape, remove the plastic, and lift it out, and then take the plastic out. So again, there's a few wrinkles here, a little bit of dirt from my previous one, but I'll be able to wrap clay around here. And again, I'm going to come back and show you how I would make a pattern for these two more irregular shapes. See you soon.